Hey, what's going on, guys? William John Raitt back with another episode of Design and Invest. This is a design deep dive of the property you see behind me, which is Case in North Hollywood. It's a fantastic property. We picked it up for $700,000, which is a steal in North Hollywood. Really good locations, basically Van Nuys and Van Owen and Vineland. And what we're doing here is this is definitely game changer stuff. We're utilizing SP9. Let's go inside so we can talk a little better, and I'll start showing you the details of what we chose, why we chose it, and what the plans are for this property. But take a look outside real quick and check this out. On the outside of the property, it looked a little drab and plain, so I wanted to give it a jazz and fun. I thought about putting siding on the entire property or the entire front. It was a little too costly. I didn't think that was the greatest use of money or resources, but I did want to put a little detail on it. So I wrapped this front porch and this front area and stopped midway with siding, and then I added wood around the windows. I cladded the front porch post, and it also gives a little different texture. You know, you have the siding, you have the wood, and you have the white stucco. It all blends really well. Plus the grays that I wanted to use weren't really vibing with the roof being kind of brown. So adding this wood, it helps balance that and make it a little more cohesive. The entrance of the property used to be over there, but like I said, one of the units is going right here. So the unit is quite literally going right here. So right here, one unit, and you'll see the rendering right now. We'll drop it in there so you see. That required us to make the entrance to the unit at a diagonal, but it also is more dramatic if you ask me, because you're coming in at the corner of a corner property, and coming in at the corner into the main unit is great. So you're gonna walk here, walk around and into that unit. You also have all of this yard space right here for these tenants. We did ficus trees around the property, so when these will fly up in no time. These will be 10 feet in less than a year, probably a year, and then they're going to grow together, so it's just a wall. And then on the outside, we chose that same horizontal wood fencing, and it came out beautifully. And we sealed it with a nice paint stain, so you don't really see too much grain, but at least it seals it nicely, and you don't have to use redwood or really expensive wood to get that look. You just use regular pine wood and just seal it right. It'll last a long time. So over here you see that detail that I was talking about around the windows. Splitting it's a very modern kind of look to it. So siding, wood windows continued, and the topper on top of that mid-century vibe over there, which you'll see in a second. And the attached garage over there, well, semi-attached. It has the eaves, the breezeway, and then the garage. The garage door was in decent shape. We didn't do anything to that. We didn't drywall, do anything fun in the garage. All we did was just on the outside of the unit itself. But this will all be walled in and very private in no time. We gave another entrance on the side to get to those units in the back, and also around the corner over here next to the garage, there's another entrance so you can access the units in the back there. So you can access one privately here, one privately there. This main entrance will be to access both of these units, the one in the front and then the main house. So you're not gonna be on top of each other. It really will have a vibe on its own. One strategy when we go to sell this property that we're exploring, not committed to it yet, but we're looking into it, is doing TIC, which is tenant in common. Tenant in common is once we have all 4 units in place, we have the option to sell each one of those individually. So you own, it's kind of like fractional ownership almost, but not really. It's more of a HOA type of vibe that governs the tie of these together. But TIC is a great option. Tenant in commons is really the way to go if you want to get a higher price point. A little harder to sell. Not every lender will loan to them. There's only a handful of lenders that will loan to TIC properties because of the uniqueness of the land, because who owns the land? You own just that? No, you kind of all own the land, but you own the unit itself. So it's a little trickier. You have to come in with a little heavier deposit, I think 20%, but it allows somebody, in this neighborhood, you can't buy anything for less than close to $1 million. For this house, now that it's renovated, for sure, no way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna offer them individually for sale think about that. You can sell each one for each of the smaller ones for 450,000, the main house for $1 million or thereabouts, and you're getting a bigger price point. We'll definitely be north of the $2 million mark if we chose to do it that route. So we'll see if we're gonna do that or not. All right, guys, so we are inside the property now. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and that's what it was actually when we bought it. We reconfigured the floor plan a little bit. I'll describe what we did exactly, bringing it into the new day and age, which is a more open floor concept and just more practical for the new standards of living. On design features and details, we'll go over those right now too, but I want to talk a little bit before we get going on SB9, which is what we enacted here. So this is a R1 property, single family zoning. So really you could build this plus an ADU, and that's kind of where you're capped. If you have an attached garage and want to turn that into a junior ADU, you could squeeze 2. So you could do the junior ADU and then the real ADU in the back. The problem with utilizing that is that you're not going to sell to a multifamily buyer. So it restricts you to just a single family home buyer, and you don't get much value for those ADUs as well when you sell in that format. What SB9 allows you to do is create, so there's 2 uses for SB9, let's start there. One is the lot split, so you can split the lot, and that's the most common sort of way that people use SB9. It's the legislation they passed to help with the housing crisis in Los Angeles and make it easier for people to build homes, build secondary units and things like that. What we're doing here is really being creative with the usage of SB9. We're taking a single family home on a corner lot, nice sized lot. I think we're over 6,000, under 7,000 in that range somewhere. And we're utilizing it to add multiple units. There's no covenant that needs to be signed. When you do just a regular ADUs, you have to sign a covenant that states that one of the units has to be owner occupied. So that also limits you to, you have to live in one of the units if you build that many ADUs. No longer the case with SB9. There is some rumbling talking about changing that legislation and requiring people to basically they're trying to cancel it because it's disrupting a lot of neighborhoods because you have a single family zoning, but we're squeezing 4 units here, believe it or not. And I'll show you the renderings of how we're doing that. So first of all, ADUs are now allowable to be put in the front yards, okay? And so that's what we're doing here is we're putting an ADU right in the front. And then second of all, once we add one of the units in the back, as long as we attach the structure to the main structure, that allows us to get 2 additional ADUs. So that one plus 2 more. We're putting another one in the back, 1 attached, and then 1 detached right up front, equaling 4 units. So my brother has a prefab home company, and he is making these off-site, and they're actually in manufacturing right now. And they're just gonna be 1-bedroom units. Super rentable. This is North Hollywood. They're gonna rent for probably $2,500 a month each. They're all gonna have a little sliver of yard space. We're gonna deck them out, make them super beautiful. And then you have the main house, which is 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. And this one would rent all day long for $4,500 in that range, $4,500 to even $4,700. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for those units to be manufactured and for the plans to be fully approved on the underground plumbing and things like that, we're gonna Airbnb this unit. So I rushed to get this one done, making sure everything is beautiful and ready. We staged it, and we're ready for Airbnb. So this is, like I said, a 50s home, so everything is very compartmentalized. You had a wall right here that ran this entire stretch. This was the living room, this was the kitchen, and then this area here had a wall as well, and this was the dining room. So this was the wall was there and there. So it was an entrance this way to the dining and then that way into the kitchen. It was very like closed off. So we put in a new header and opened up this floor plan to accommodate the open floor concept. Worked out beautifully. The cabinets, this is a vendor I use called Cabinet City. They don't break the bank. These are great choices. This is like a light colored veneered wood look. And we used a gray quartz with, and then we waterfalled the end. And this is a little design detail too that I use in a lot of homes like this to save you money, because this is the most expensive part of the kitchen, is really the slab, because this is an island slab. This is I think 42 inches by 9 feet, okay? So what I did is I want to be able to use this and not have to buy another slab. So I make my peninsula only up to just under 6 feet. So that way you could use the additional 3 foot to waterfall down. You just miter cut it and it works out perfectly. You use some scrap material from others to wrap the inside of the overhang, and you can do paneling too, which I just did at another property. Works out beautifully. We chose a nice backsplash with a geometric pattern. It's like a hexagon type shape, or cubes if you look at it at an angle. And that was, I don't know, $6 a square foot, $8 a square foot. And again, black trim. I chose to mix it up a little bit in the kitchen. I used a brass hardware with black. So it's black and brass, as well as the faucet. I brought in some brass details over there just to kind of give it a little extra pizzazz. Again, we're setting up for Airbnb right now, so we got all the supplies going in. Real coffee makers, real stuff. We're consumable supplies. We're gonna start hanging TVs now and doing all that. This will be live probably by the end of this week, which is great. So while we're manufacturing those units, we're Airbnb-ing this and making money, generating income off of it while we're waiting on those units to be manufactured. By the way, the best part of those units in my brother's company that does the prefab homes, we'll drop in some renderings right here too, so you can see. Great floor concept. The ceilings are nice and vaulted. They have skylights in the living rooms. Really nice size 1-bedroom. Bathroom is very beautiful. All of these come pre-finished. So when you get them on site, all you do is crane them in and they're done. Again, the part that I love most about this is that they're state approved. The city cannot mess with you during plan check. When you submit your plans, those are the plans. They can't say, oh, we'll change this or add that. That's the plans. If you don't have fire sprinklers in your main house, you don't need them in your ADUs, unless you're hillside, and then it sort of triggers all kinds of other stuff. But this house, those units, they should go in pretty seamlessly. The foundations and the underground utilities are the only thing that they could really give you corrections on. So we're working through that right now. But also the fact that we're submitted, we're grandfathered in. So if they do change the legislation or take that away, they can't take this away for us. This will be a 4-unit project. And that part's beautiful too. So really, once we get the approval on that and the units are ready, bam, they'll be in here. That'll probably be a few months. But in the meantime, like I said, we're Airbnb-ing this and generating some income. And this total renovation on the main house took maybe 2.5, 3 months. So we smoked through it pretty quick. The fridges and the appliances I got from Cosmo. They are a local vendor. I just chose a scratch and dent version where the backs may have a little ding on it or something, but you get them for really cheap, and it allows you to get nicer stuff. So we have a real nice industrial style range. You know, you have a 5-burner and the very sleek appliances. So I like using those guys. Look over here. This is a fun sink that we did. It's an undermount sink, but it has all these cool, like a little strainer rack, this tray built in. There's even a butcher block top. I don't know where it went, but that butcher block top also sits in here, so you could chop and just scoop it straight away. It's a really cool sink. This sink may be an extra $300 or something, not a big deal. Put some floating shelves right here. Again, these roller shades, let me roll these down. It's beautiful, and it looks out over to the patio too. But these are great. They let some light through, but not a lot. And we chose a really light gray, which is beautiful. Very similar to just all the plays on gray that we're using here. In this laundry room, you also probably notice if you're like me, there's no pantry in here. And I'm like, okay, well, you do need a pantry. So what we did is we snuck it into the laundry room. So if you look over here, the laundry room has a stackable washer and dryer, and then the pantry to the left of it, 24 inches deep, so it's really nice and deep. And also that's the access to get out to that patio, that private patio as well. So this hallway bathroom was a lot smaller and different. This hallway wasn't even 3 feet. It was like 2 feet. So I had to enlarge the hallway. By doing that, I made the bathroom smaller, But I popped into the closet. So what you see right here, this shower, it was set forward. Everything was sort of shifted this way. And I'll show you the befores on that so you can see exactly what I mean. But we kept that sort of tub location, pushed it back into the adjacent closet of that bedroom. So the bedroom suffered a little closet-wise, but we were able to make the shower and make this footprint better. The toilet is behind us, so you don't open to a toilet, you open to the shower. We obviously kept the finishes very similar, all the black. With this one, we did more of a square vibe. We did a $600 enclosure here for this one. That one we have to do custom in the master because of the size and stuff. But this is just off the shelf glass slider. The vanity, I chose a brownish color, a brown wood, and the floors taupes. So that way we switched the two bathrooms up. They're not super matchy. And yeah, this bathroom turned out really nice and it's cozy. It's always good if you have a two bathrooms to make one of them a tub, because people have kids, people will need to bathe their kids, and it's almost impossible to do that in a shower. I mean, it is impossible unless you have a tub that you're bringing in there. But this is a good box to check. I chose a nice deeper dish tub as well. So instead of spending $300, I spent $600, $500 on a tub, but it goes a long way. And it's also a tub that I like to use because if you have a toilet that's right next to it, if you have glass that's swinging, it'll clear the top of the toilet. So I like using these taller apron tubs. So we're in the master bedroom right now, and in order to add a unit onto the structure, it can't have windows on that side. So this used to have a window, actually a slider back here going out into the backyard. That slider was moved into the adjacent room, which we'll go to next. And so we had to wall that off, and also the bathroom had a window that we closed off as well. I increased the size of this window so that way we can make egress for this room. So that way if there was ever a fire or something, the fireman could use that space to get in. The slider satisfied that before, but now we got this. But this bathroom that we have here, it was a lot smaller. It was probably like right around here. It was a little dinky bathroom. What we did is we enlarged that footprint, made this more of like a sitting room, put your dresser and nice little cozy space. It's a great, I mean, the room, this master is quite a good size for an old home like this. In the 50s, this room wouldn't have been here. This was added, I believe, in the 70s, but with permits and all that. So we got really lucky with this house. This house had a lot of cool redeeming factors for it. It had already vinyl windows. The stucco was in decent shape. So when you patch it, it's not bad. It's a sand finish. The roof still has some life left on it, so we didn't redo the roof. AC unit was half there. Somebody stole the condenser and some copper on the property. So we replumbed it. We did new electrical, and we just made that AC unit, brought it into the new day and age and helped, update it. But we got lucky in a lot of those items to keep the construction cost low on this main 3-bedroom unit. But I wanted to show you this to show you that that's how we're adding. So right behind this wall right here is where the attached unit is going to sit. When that attached unit sits up against the house, now it's technically a duplex, which is pretty wild. And this is where SB9 gets a little confusing even out of my realm, but I just know that it's possible, what's possible and what's not. So once you do that, now multifamily properties can have 2 ADUs by right. So that's what we're doing here, is that we're putting one in the back, detached, and then one in the front, and that is now bringing us into a 4-unit property in a single family zoning. Unheard of in past times. This is also now opens up this buyer to a multifamily home buyer, someone who's just buying money. You get all the rents tight, $4,500 for this, $2,500 each unit, each of the smaller units, even $2,000 for those smaller ones. You get that rent roll tight. You could sell it to that multifamily buyer who's just buying money. And then this will probably be valued at just under $2 million for that valuation on a gross rent multiplier of like 13.5, 14, which is pretty typical for a multifamily property in this neighborhood. And I think that's about a 5 cap ish. The floors, we used vinyl floors. These are actually a hybrid. These are a laminate flooring, but with a vinyl top. So it's a hybrid product that's waterproof. So it's a waterproof laminate. It's a nicer material. I usually just do like $110 a square foot laminate, or vinyl for that matter. This is like $160 a square foot to $180, like in that range. So a little bit more, but it's a great product. And for this neighborhood and the kind of where you're going to get in this house, dogs, this, that, it's the best product. Here, I didn't want this to turn into like a hallway, so we put a barn door. I got this barn door for $100 at HD Supply Contractors Warehouse, and I just bought the track online for like $35-40, and boom, voila, it matches the vibe. I'm doing plays on grays and whites with black hardware, black finishes, handles, Schluter trims, and all that jazz. So let's go in here. Squeeze every last drop out of this bathroom. We put a double vanity, and it's tight, but it works really well and it shows beautifully. We chose, I don't know, $3-4 a square foot tile. And then for the shower surround, we chose a fake marble with the black trim, Delta and Moen mixed finishes for the shower valves. And we match the same vibe. If you look in here, we have the sort of piped, rounded faucets and rounded towel bars and shower heads. So we went with that kind of vibe with everything, but it shows really, really well. It gives off the exact vibe that we were looking for here. You got a little bit of hipster twist, with a lot of the wood staging in the barn door, but great product. Over here, we had my guy Brad install roller shades, which are not as expensive as you think. They show a lot better than just your horizontal or vertical blinds. Those are ugly, very apartment looking. These are a lot classier. It's a lot more to put the valances on them, so I didn't spring for that, but we sprung for the roller shades. For a house this size, I think we paid something like $1,500, $1,400 for all of the windows, and that also includes the big slider, a big roller shade for that slider. So this room here is the bedroom off of the hallway. It's not it wasn't a very sexy bedroom. It was very dark. It was kind of like a little closet of a room. So what we did is we transferred that slider that we took away from the master and actually used it in this bedroom to go off of this space. And we created a really awesome outdoor balcony patio area that's private for this house. You'll see that in a second. But in this bedroom, we took off the paneling, took off all that stuff, opened it up with the light, and all the finishes we chose are very craftsman-y. We use shaker doors, new black hardware, black hinges, black door stoppers, and really gave it a little homage to the Craftsman era. There wasn't a closet in here, so technically it's not a bedroom if you don't have a closet. So we stole some, and really this was the toughest one. I racked my brain on trying to figure out a place to put a closet. I'm like, you know what? I have an idea. Let's steal a little space from the kitchen. Let's box out the corner. A lot of corners in kitchens are blind corners anyways, so it's really not missed and nobody will be able to even tell. I guarantee you. Once you see the kitchen, you'll see what I mean. We just boxed off a corner and it worked out perfectly, and then you have this closet. So not a big closet, but checks the box. That's the most important part. And here, check this. This is the closet for that adjacent room. You don't notice it, right? Because you have an appliance that I grouped right next to it. So it sits flush with that wall. And that right there is not a waste of space by any means in this kitchen. This kitchen, the only thing that would have changed in this kitchen is that the fridge probably would have been over here. I wouldn't have been able to do a peninsula. The configuration would have changed, but I got my closet for that bedroom classified as an actual bedroom. So opening up this space and putting a slider here into this space was really the answer. I mean, it worked out so well, and it makes that room so much more inviting. And it's not the only access to get to this outdoor patio area. You also have out of the kitchen laundry area, you have a door there as well. So if somebody's sleeping in this room, you don't have to disturb them if you want to access this space. This space was super drab before. It was really just a connection space between the garage and the main house. But we raised the floors up, put decking in here. We use like a Trex type of material, which will last forever. It doesn't get sunburnt or any of that stuff. We tongue and groove Doug Furred the overhang, sorry, the awning, and you know, it creates a real fun, relaxing vibe over here. All the walls just white, this wood contrast. We put a topper on that wall right there, which I love that wall. That's a mid-century modern brick that I was adamant on keeping. It's beautiful, and now it's a backdrop to the lounge area that we have over here, and this area just really connects and creates awesome vibes. We even hung a porch swing here, a little basket swing. This we had at the warehouse, and you know, we use it for stages and stuff. So we took off the stand that it came with, and I just hung it straight to the rafter tails and the ceiling joists, and it worked out beautifully. I'm gonna let you go, guys. Keep a lookout on our social media. We're gonna have updates on this property. I'm also gonna do another video on this property once all 4 units are done, and we'll do like a grand reveal. We're gonna have a little mixer here, a party, because this is really revolutionary stuff that we're doing. Nobody really sees this. So having a party to showcase that and tell people what we're doing is gonna be a fun process, and it's also gonna open it up to the community, and possibly find a buyer or a renter for these properties while we're at that. But remember, guys, design, invest, and repeat.